here with Fyvush Finkel. Now, Fyvush, you know better than anybody that the Jewish accent is disappearing. So first, start me off. Tell me what kind of Jewish accent you have.
First of all, I don't think it was a real Jewish accent. It was a Brooklyn accent.
What's the distinction?
There's a big difference.
Here we go.
Brooklyn accent, we don't say goyle, boy, things like that. You spoil this and that, you know, the OI to pronounce it. We say girl, we say boy, we say texture, but in back of it, you have that Brooklyn accent.
So which one is dying then, the Brooklyn accent or the Jewish accent?
No, the Jewish accent it was done by the people when I was young. They came from Europe, and they studied that. You see, when they studied English, they were glad that they could learn English and become citizens rather than worry about their accent. They all had that Jewish accent. I remember my father spoke English with a Jewish accent.
Give us an example.
So how come you don't do that for me today? What's the matter with you? You see, what's the matter with you? And so what happened? In vaudeville, they talk the same way. Those comedians. Take Smith and Dale. Doctor, what was your mother's name? My mother's name was Ma. What was your father's name? Pa. Where did they live? They lived together. That was the way they did it. Willie Howard, for example, a comedian in vaudeville. They were great comedians, believe me. They're missing today and they can't be replaced. Willie Howard, for example, he spoke a beautiful English, but he did certain parts of his act with that accent, you see.
Give me an example.
And he said, I will all teach you a French lesson. The landlord comes for the rent, you tell him avec. If he comes twice, tell him weit avec, which means far away. See? Everybody repeat after me, way down south of the land of cotton, food is bed, hotels are rotten, keep away from Dixieland. That was his act, but when you spoke to him off stage, you didn't hear that.
You didn't hear any accent?
No, he put it on.
So wait a minute, what you're saying is the Jewish accent has been disappearing for a longer time.
No, they're still in Israel. By those people that, thank God, they survived the Holocaust. They still have that accent. Because of one reason, they taught Yiddish a lot. They still do. But it's hard for them to learn that Hebrew language. That's a difficult language.
Give me an example of how someone in Israel talks with that.
Well, they talk the way, you know what? I could tell you right away what it could be. You know, first of all, they say first. First of all, that's what it is. You see, they talk that way till today. But they have to be in the ages of 80 to 90 because the Holocaust, they're survivors. Even when they were small, when they came here. And that's it. But however, in America, it disappeared because a lot of them ran to Miami. We lost our customers in the Yiddish theater because of the neighborhood changing and the weather. They found out that in Miami, the weather is better for their health, but their language they kept the same.
So maybe Miami is where the Jewish accent is.
They still do. They still have people there at my age, from 80 and up, that still talk that way.
You got into vaudeville through the Yiddish theater, right? When did you start?
3/4 of my life I spent in the Yiddish theater. I'm the only one left alive. I'm the last of the Mohicans.
Mohican's a weird reference for the Yiddish theater, but okay.
But I mean, what else could I say?
So, you transitioned from the Yiddish theater to mainstream.
It was not an easy transition, I'll tell you why. First of all, we have to make a living. 2 sons you got to send to college. You know, and I don't have to tell you what expenses are, even when they were kids. So what am I going to do? Take a chance? I did take a chance. I spent a fortune of money trying to do an English act. and it didn't work.
What kind of English act? What do you mean an English act?
I mean, an act in English instead of Yiddish. I was a star in the Yiddish theater, so they would put me, they had the RKO circuit, which was every Tuesday in New York. The Lowy circuit was Monday, and the other circuit, I forgot the name of it, was on a Friday. So they said, we'll try you with the agent. I got an agent, and they wrote the act for me with the orchestrations and everything. Cost me a fortune. And P.S., I died.
Yeah. Why, you couldn't sell it? You couldn't sell it?
They didn't know how to write for me. It was one of those things. Whatever they wrote for me was not good.
Well, what would you say in Yiddish? What was your act in Yiddish? The jokes were obviously in Yiddish.
Well, the jokes, with the jokes I used to take, what I used to do, I brought the modern stuff into Yiddish theater. In other words, I used to go to Harlem and do their dances. Yeah. I'm going back 1943, 44, and I brought them into the theater. The owner of the theater was strange. He didn't know what it was because they never had it. So they said, don't do it. It doesn't look right. I said, it is right. And you know, in those days, they allowed encores. Mm-hmm. Even on Broadway, they allowed encores. So what happened was I said, look, we have previews. We didn't go out of town for previews in the Yiddish theater. We'll do the first preview.
The first preview in Harlem for a Yiddish theater show?
Yeah, I mean that dance, that jitterbug dance I'm talking about. Yeah. If it's no good, I'll go back to what you want. They wouldn't let us off the stage. You know what we did there. They wouldn't let us off we had to do about 8 encores. Nice. And that went on most every show that way. You know, at the beginning of my career, even in Yiddish theater, I was a big flop.
I can't believe that.
Oh, yes. I was about 18 years old, and I don't know, maybe I wasn't ready or whatever it was. My father sat on one side of the theater, my brother sat on the other side, and in case the audience is not laughing, they would laugh it up for me. So all you heard was 2 people laughing at the end of my gags. I died the death of a dog. The air conditioning couldn't save me. Nothing worked.
So what happened?
What happened was they said, forget it, learn a trade better. You'll be better off. The owner of the theater said to me, learn a trade. I said, okay, I'll learn it. You know, what am I going to do? Finally, the Actors Union wouldn't let me play in New York. I mean, I was about 18 in the vaudeville theater. Nobody wanted that job, so they allowed me. But however, in New York, they wouldn't allow me to appear. It was a tight union, the Hebrew Actors Union.
Wow, tough union.
Very tight union. So there was an opening. They said, if you want, there's an opening in Pittsburgh. I said, I'm going. My father said, go. And if you're short with money, don't worry, I'll take care of it. It was on a cooperative plan. In other words, all the expenses were paid. What's left over, they divided. But the first few weeks was nothing to divide. You know, but I stayed there, and that was my school.
In Pittsburgh?
That was my school.
There was a big Yiddish
every week was a different show, like a stock company.
Oh, it was real theater, not Yiddish theater.
Yiddish theater.
That was Yiddish theater.
That was a Yiddish theater.
Who went to Yiddish theater in Pittsburgh in the 40s?
Oh, yes, you'll be surprised.
I am surprised.
A big immigration at that time. The immigration, when they came into the 20s, they were spread all over.
You must have been the toast of Pittsburgh.
I was about 18 then. I was about 18, 19 when I went in there. And I learned a lot of stuff of what to do. And incidentally, even a lot of bad habits too.
Like what?
Upstaging, you know, things like that we used to do. To sell a gag, they used to yell at the director, register, register, which means talk louder so they'll hear the gag. No, things like that. First of all, they wouldn't even let me be a comedian. They said a tall man can't be a comedian. They were very narrow-minded, you know, in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I said, what are you talking about? They said, "You have to play the villain in the first show." All right, I'll play the villain. When they shot me, you heard laughs you never heard in your life. By the time I reached the bottom of that stage, I tell you the truth, belly laughs.
Would you play it for laughs?
What?
You played it for laughs?
No, I didn't. I was serious, but they were laughing. So what happened? They said, "All right, you're the comedian from here on in." Okay. Then I did Cleveland. They wouldn't let me in New York. Then all of a sudden, I played Boston for one night. And the guy that hired me, I really was ready. When I walked on that stage, the audience was laughing before I opened my mouth. And huh?
No, I'm just kidding.
They laughed so hard.
Why?
Because I was very thin, and I was a funny dancer too, shuffle dancing, you know, and very funny, you know, going with a suit with a Jewish audience. God bless them. If you wore white socks, they screamed with laughter. That's the way they were.
I'll remember that.
I'm
I'm stealing that bit.
Well, at any rate, so the owner says, I took a theater. The theater was in Brooklyn called the Hopkinson Theater. And he said to me, "You're in it." I said, "They wouldn't let me." He says, "Is that so? I'll show you something." His name was Pesach Geborstein, that star. He was so enthusiastic about my talent. So they said no. The union said no. Absolutely not. We have actors here that would be delighted. So he walked away. Then he found out they had a big meeting. Every year they had one meeting where he makes a speech, the general manager. His name was Reuben Guskin. I don't want to, you know, we're on a microphone now. I don't want to curse him the way I cursed him that time.
Wow.
And I still do, but that's not it. P.S. What happened was, he walked in the middle of the meeting with me, grabbed my hand, and he yelled out loud and clear. He interrupted the speech. He said, "I need an actor that's 20 years old that can sing and dance without a wig. Is there anybody here that can do that?" Nothing. He said, "Well, then Mr. Finkel got to play at my theater." So he said, "Only 1 year, that's it." 1 year, that was my life. The audience got to me right away. Fyvush Finkel, my God, what they carried on, you would be surprised what they carried on. And then when I did the same vaudeville house where I died, they paid me 4 times more, and I killed the audience. I just raptured them. I don't know what it was. I mean, I can't sound conceited. Oh, here we're back in business.
It's about time.
Am I on?
He's on. You're on. So Fyvush, you were going to tell us about the accent.
Yeah, so what happened? Now you had some English words at that time already. The people that bought theater parties, we called them theater parties, they were group sales. They were a little younger than the audience that usually came on the weekends to see our musicals. So you had to cater to them. So what you heard from the actors there is a Yiddish accent where they had to say those English words. "Open the door in the name of the law." So you told them it's law, not low. You know, you could try to correct them. "Don't tell me what it is. Open the door in the name of the law." I said, "All right, let it be low." But they all talked with that accent. Finally, as time went by, the Second War came in. A lot of youngsters were drafted. Even in the Yiddish theater, we had those under 30, you know. I had, from 4 brothers, 2 were in there already. I was going to be next, but they rejected me because I had my feet. I have no arches and things like that. They claim I can't train. And so in general, so the Brooklyn section of the boys, a lot of them spoke Brooklynese. You thought it was a Yiddish accent. It wasn't. That's the way they spoke. I went with a goyal last night, and that goyal was terrific. I went with a boy, I went with a goyal, we had soda, we had, you know, that's the way they spoke. Why did they speak that way? Because their father and mother talked that way when they talked English. And I personally had that same problem. I had that same problem. The only thing was, Joe Laurie Jr., if you remember him, was a great comedy writer, a very literate figure that I happened to meet at the Lambs Club. And we became very close friends. He said, if you want to go and do the American theater, here's a number that I want you to call and see this man, and he'll help you. I wanted to get out of it, out of that type of an accent. Not only was mine a Brooklyn accent, but I had a heavy Jewish accent because I was doing everything in Yiddish. So it came that way. Barbra Streisand, in my opinion, doesn't have a Jewish accent. She has a Brooklyn accent. The way she talks, you see.
But you said you had both.
I had both, and mine was in bad shape.
Tell me what it sounded like.
Well, I'll tell you the truth. I thought I was okay, terrific, you know. They said, you were born here. Certainly I was born here. What's the matter with you, you know? The way I spoke. So he said, that's why they're turning you down at that time, which they did. So I went to this gentleman. His name was Paul Gerard Smith, a great writer. He wrote a lot of screenplays, if you see, and he said, oh my God, Mr. Finkel, do me a favor. Make believe you didn't come in here. He said, but I'm going to take care of you because he's my friend who recommended you. He wouldn't charge me. And he worked hard. Finally, I got a little improvement. Not much, but a little. And as time went by, my wife, should rest in peace, also worked on me. Everybody worked on me. I should try and get rid of it. So what happens? I kept being in the Yiddish theater. It used to go back and used to go forth and back and forth. But I'm not alone. The audience had that accent. Those over 80 still do. Why am I yelling? I'm alone here.
Part of the accent.
They still do. Go to Florida. We went to Florida. My sons are great musicians. I appear with them. Ian and Elliot. Him on the xylophone, my other son on the piano. And we worked together. As a matter of fact, we were I did 26 shows in 2 weeks in the condominiums there. That was that must have been about 1982, 83 at that time.
A couple years ago.
So I met these people, and they all spoke with a Jewish accent.
Yeah, but that's 30-something years ago.
That's right. Now, you won't find it there. A lot of them passed on.
So what are you doing to keep the Jewish accent alive, other than just staying alive?
Well, Yiddish is alive. The Yiddish language is alive, which is close.
It's on life support.
What?
It's on life support.
The Yiddish accent, the colleges have classes. You can't get into them. They're sold out. You see, in California especially, when we play California, before we get there, they're sold out. They want to hear it. The youngsters want to hear it.
What do they want to hear? Give me an example.
Well, they will hören, was wir da singen. I recorded a song, I'm a Border by my wife, which was a big hit. Ich bin a Border by my wife, Männer, du hast einen Job. Sie attended mich mit alles, wenn ich gefleckt sie kein Schales. Ich bin a Border by my wife. English, I am a boarder by my wife. I tell you, it is a wonderful job. No more troubles, not unharried. I am happily unmarried. I am a boarder by my wife. You know, they got a divorce, and he wants to move, but she says, why move? Your bed is there. Nobody will bother you. Pay me the rent, and it'll be all right.
I'm a boarder with my wife.
I'm a boarder by my wife. It caught on big.
You recorded that song?
I recorded that song 70 years ago. So when they did the documentary with Itzhak Perlman, they wanted to have a section in a Yiddish broadcast in the radio station, and they asked me if I would do it. I said, not only will I do it, I have the same orchestration, and it's on television. I'll do the same dance that I did in those days after I sang a chorus. Oh, wonderful. Even in the documentary it caught on, so wherever I went, they used to yell up to me no matter what I prepared. Sing the border! Sing the border! That was so I used to say, I have no luck in this profession. Bing Crosby's main song, I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas. Tony Bennett is left with a song, I left my heart in San Francisco. What did they leave me with? I'm aborted by my wife. So it always got a little laugh there, but it caught on. It was something in those days. They sang it in the streets. They sang the song in the streets. Not only me, all these Yiddish artists. They had a song, was is gewesen is the Stuhl. They did it in English. What used to was, now it ain't. You know, things like that. And they would never write in English. In Yiddish, they sounded beautifully. But however, you take the Yiddish actors, they all came from Europe. No matter how old or young they were, when they spoke English, they spoke with a Yiddish accent. They never worked. They never worked on it. You know, you had to work on it. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I have I make a lot of mistakes too sometimes. But however, when I auditioned for Fiddler, the table audition you do first for the casting agent. She said, oh my God, she said to the assistant director, he's from Brooklyn. He got mad because they wanted me. He got mad. He said, sure, Zero Mostella's from Harvard. They said, he yelled at me, speak. He got me so nervous. I don't know what in the world I was saying. You know, so he says, now call the assistant director, was Ruth Mitchell. Then I did Ruth Mitchell, and she says, Mr. Robbins doesn't feel well, but if you come Friday, maybe he'll look at you. I go Friday, there was about 200 actors there. Who did he not take? Those that volunteered the accent.
You thought you would.
I talk the way I'm talking now, you know. When I had, I used to pal out with Jackie Mason.
Oh, best accent ever.
You know, Jackie Mason, that's his act. Even in life, slightly different, not much different than what he does on stage, but that's his act. When I did Picket Fences, the television show, we used to meet in California every day for breakfast. Then I had to be on the set at the same time. Now, how am I going to get away from him? So I told him, Jake, I can't eat with you anymore. He said, why? I said, it took me years to get rid of my accent. If I pal out with you, I'll get it back again. So I left him that time.
Give me an example of you saying the same sentence with no accent at all, the best you can do, no accent, versus accent.
I would like to sing a song for the bride and groom.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Now say that with an accent.
I would want to sing a song with the bride and groom.
Which do you prefer?
Well, I prefer both. I prefer both. When I used to see Smith and Dale, I was always on the floor with laughter. Always on the floor with laughter. Or those comedians. I had Lou Holtz, a comedian before your time. Mm-hmm. Very funny. Jackie Mason is one of the funniest monologists we have.
Do an accent. Do Jackie Mason's accent, because it's different from yours.
Yeah, so you mean to tell me that it was you? No, it couldn't be you. It could have been me. I want to wish myself the best of luck in the world. Of course, I mean you, but I come first. You know, that was him.
That's him. And that's
almost
the way he talks.
He says, I know the difference, he says, between the Gentile audience and the Jewish audience. When I finished the first act, he says, the Gentile audience, they go to the bar. The Jewish audience are in the lobby talking how much did it cost this show? There's no scenery. They said, what does a Jackie Mason get a week? Things like that. That's the way they are. You see, what I did recently, I did the hottest room in New York, the 54 below. I did that room, and it was packed. But the only thing is, the bar was not packed the way the owner would have liked it.
Right, it's all Jews.
So I told him, look, Jewish people are different than what you expect. My people that came to see me, I told him. It's very simple to explain. Very simple. Jewish people don't drink. It interferes with their suffering. So he said, oh, okay. And he was a little worried about that. Now I played another room called the Metropolitan Room down here somewhere. The two shows, and we're going back there on my birthday. They're making me go to appear.
94th birthday.
On my 94th birthday. Finkel at 94, it's called.
When is that?
That's in the 20s somewhere, that room.
No, when is your birthday?
Oh, October 9.
Oh, it's coming up.
October 9. I was born October 9, 1922.
What are you gonna sing? Is singing?
I do my act.
It's a lot of songs.
Huh?
Mostly songs, right?
I know, mostly talk too. I do a lot of talk.
Give me an example.
Well, I talk. I would say, well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm 93 now. Half of my life is over. You know, things like that. That I say. And then I talk about the elections nowadays. The election.
Who do you like?
What?
Who do you like?
Well, I can say it. At my age, I'm not afraid to say I'm a Democrat. What do you think? I'll vote for Trump? A man that's been married 3-4 times should be in the White House? What's the matter with you? I vote for Hillary because her husband is my friend. He calls me Fyvush. Yeah.
Does he really call you Fyvush?
He calls me Fyvush. And
wait, can you do an imitation of Bill Clinton calling you Fyvush?
Hey, my friend. That's my friend over there. If Fyvush, let me give you a hug. Always gave me the Hollywood hug.
That's very
funny. He told me that if his wife gets elected, I'm going to have dinner with them in the East Room. So I got to tell you that I'm voting for Hillary. I will not vote for Trump. I don't care what he says or how rich he is. We have as they say, an agricultural agreement I have with Trump. Which means he could go to hell.
And that's an agricultural agreement?
Yes.
But it's not just for the dinner in the East Room that you're supporting.
No, but I find him a very good friend. And as far as I'm concerned, he was a very good president too, as far as I'm concerned. And she has that experience. She was Secretary of State. She was a senator. She used to partake in a lot of activities. And I think whether you agree with her or not, according to the two of them, I feel that she's more equipped to be in the White House. About him, I don't know. He may surprise you. You know, I may be wrong. I don't know. I really don't know. But I will not vote for him.
I notice you're losing your accent when you get serious.
Oh, really? Oh, there you go.
See?
So at any rate, I tell people a lot of actors are afraid to release themselves publicly. I can't blame them too much. I personally, at my age, I don't care anymore. I can say what I like, when I like, how I like. But even when I went to see shows on Broadway, when I was in the Yiddish theater, the only time we had time to see a show, we never played a Wednesday afternoon. So I used to see shows. When I saw a show, I never came to bury Caesar. I came to enjoy. My wife and I, we always enjoyed shows. No matter how bad it was, we enjoyed it. I mean, it was a time out. Other actors, when they come to see a show, especially Yiddish actors, oh my God, what they carry on. I could have done better. Look at him and this and that. He walks wrong. They find a million things. I don't find those things. I enjoy it. And I saw some good shows this year, some very good shows this year. I enjoyed Pippin, The Raisin of the Sun. Terrific.
Did you see Hamilton?
Huh?
Did you see Hamilton?
Not yet. No, I'll get to see it. It's according if they play a couple of years. I'm not going to give them $500 a seat. I'm not a rich man, but I'm a comfortable man. That doesn't mean I got to give $500 a seat. I don't even give $100 a seat. I have a friend of mine that invests in shows and we get seats. Pippin I enjoyed. I enjoyed a lot of shows that went on. And on the town, I really loved. After midnight, they had a show called After Midnight, which was a big orchestra of jazz, you know.
Yeah.
That was a great show. But however, the Fiddler on the Roof, I didn't see it.
You didn't see Fiddler on the Roof?
Not this one, no. Not this one.
You've seen Fiddler, of course.
Fiddler, I've been in Fiddler myself 5 years.
How many different productions of Fiddler on the Roof have you been in?
I did about, let me see, 1, 2. For Harold Prince, I did 2 productions. Then when they went independent, the revival, Niederlander, in 1980, I did his production. And then I played Tevye nearly throughout the States. I did Tevye. There was a lot of dinner theaters then. There are no more dinner theaters. One called me up in California, but they don't use an orchestra. You'll have to tape it before. I said, I can't work that way. I got to have the band no matter how many pieces there. And I would safely say that I did the Fiddler on the Roof for a good 8, 9 years, if not more. And I never was tired of it.
Great show.
That's one of the greatest shows that was ever written. And the role of Tevye, I used to say, is the Hamlet for the character actor. The young actor wants to do Hamlet. A character actor wants to do Tevye. And if you notice my wall over there, I have some pictures what I look like with the beard. Tevye, and he came to see me. First president I ever met in person was President Carter.
Yeah, I see.
Came to see me, and it's all over there.
What did you think of Jimmy Carter?
Well, I'll tell you, I never read about him that deep, but he had a hard time. His sister was anti-Semitic. His mother was anti-Semitic, and his brother, don't even ask what an idiot that was. But he personally, when you talk to him, and his wife, lovely people, that was good enough for me. It was good enough for me. He lasted only 1 term, you know. Though he changed a little in his writing. He changed a little bit in his writing. I can't agree with him.
You're saying since he was president, he's been very anti-Israel.
Carter?
Yeah.
Maybe he was. I didn't read too much on him, but afterwards, he wrote a lot about the Arabs and this and that I sort of changed, you know. The Bush family, forget about.
What's wrong with the Bush family?
The Bush family, that's what they are, Bushes. That's what they are. The last Bush we had, he tried to do a lot of things. You take Social Security, he wanted to get rid of that. I said, wait till he reaches 70, and he'll miss that check that comes in there with all the money that he might have, you know.
So you were born so long ago, 1922. Who was your favorite president? You saw them all. I mean...
Oh, I saw Hoover.
Hoover.
FDR. Truman was one of my greats that I loved, was Harry Truman. And then after that, Eisenhower I enjoyed.
Not a lot of people would say they enjoyed Eisenhower.
I did. I'll tell you for one reason, was no war. Because he knew what war is. He lived war. He saw the war. And he knew and Adlai Stevenson tried to get in. And in those days, when he ran, they didn't want a president to be a divorcee. He was a great man, Adlai Stevenson. He should have gone in there. Kennedy was a good president too, as long as he lasted. His father was anti-Semitic, everybody knew, and it was too bad that they shot him. They killed him. They killed his brother too. It was a pity on the mother, if you ask me, that she went through with her children. A pity on her. And I remember well. I remember even Coolidge.
You remember Coolidge?
I mean, I read about Coolidge. He just finished when I was born.
Yeah.
And I read about I'm a bookworm. I read biographies left and right. I love biographies.
You left out Johnson and Nixon.
Johnson I hated. I don't know why, but I just didn't like him. It was one of those things, you know.
It was one of those things.
It was one of those things. Nixon, I did the picture Nixon, you know. I played his campaign manager for Oliver Stone.
You played his campaign manager. I'm trying to remember that, Nixon. I remember the movie.
Yeah.
How much screen time did you have in that movie? I don't remember the movie. Was it a big part?
It was a good part.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the film.
Who was this campaign manager? Was you playing an actual person?
It was a biological person that I portrayed. He had a Jewish campaign manager.
I didn't realize that.
His name was Milton. And you see with Nixon, when he needed you, he didn't care what you did when he needed you. And he needed him, and yet he lost the election with Kennedy, and he retired as campaign manager. And I did that role for Oliver Stone.
Nixon was a pretty anti-Semitic guy.
Who?
Nixon.
Well, that I don't know, really. Because he had a rabbi working for him. You know, as I said before, he made a lot of big mistakes. And he was elected with the biggest majority of any president. It was Nixon.
Until Hillary Clinton.
Huh?
Until Hillary Clinton.
Clinton did pretty well at the election.
No, I'm saying if Hillary beats Trump, it'll be a bigger margin.
I can hardly wait for the conventions to see the excitement this year at the conventions, especially the Trump conventions. There'll be a lot of violence, I think, going on.
And you're looking forward to that?
I certainly am. I mean, to see what they carry on, those people with them. To see, listen, I'll tell you something.
Go ahead.
For the Jewish people, you talk about accents. When we went to Florida years ago, they still had it. And it wasn't easy for them. That was the South. And when they stopped in Georgia, if they traveled by their cars or everything, you had to go through Georgia. They used to, traps there, you know.
Speed traps.
Traps. You know, that certain streets, they just stopped for the light, they got a ticket. And especially when they answer them, officer, what did I do? I didn't do anything. That's all. Another ticket they got. They always found something, you see? And it was pathetic, those people. They were, especially for the black people and the Jewish people. I mean, we went through plenty. We had, I remember even till today, when I think about it, the restricted hotels that we had during the Second World War, they used to yell at me, "Hey, Maki, how come you're not in the army?" They yelled at me. I just let it pass because I was told, don't fight it, just keep going. They used to do that when we traveled. We used to go on the road too in the Yiddish theater. We went to the key cities. We went to Detroit, we went to Canada, we went all over. For a good 10 weeks we traveled. And the operators made a lot of money in those 10 weeks.
Oh yeah.
You know, the producers.
Yeah.
They made a lot of money. In those days, Schubert had a different contract. It was a 50-50 contract, they called it.
The theater and the producer.
The theater and the producer was 50-50.
Nice.
In other words, what they had, they paid 50% of the publicity, 50% of the rental, and 50% whatever came in. And they made a lot of money that way. Now you can't do it that way. Now you can't do it. So, but in general, I know what they went through. The people try to get to Miami and pass the southern states.
All right, we're going to wind it down because we're taking too much of your time. But last question: when the last Jewish accent is gone, will something be lost from America forever?
No, I don't think it'll ever be gone. They might use it for comedy. I don't think so. They used to say Yiddish is gone. It's not gone. My God, people want to hear it. Otherwise, why would they hire me? Or not only people like me, other comedians that do it. It's not gone. They want to hear some of it yet. They don't want it to really evaporate. Now you talk about the Jewish accent. It doesn't offend me. It doesn't offend the people that have it. It doesn't offend their children. If there's one exception, that doesn't mean anything. It's a very big minority. It's a minority. So the Yiddish accent is still there. And if they want, they can do it thicker yet.
Do it thicker yet.
Huh?
Do it to say goodbye thick accent.
In English?
No, yeah, English with a
Yeah.
Yiddish accent.
I want to wish you all the best of luck, the best of happiness, and also the best of health. I want to wish you all the best of luck, the best of happiness, and above all, the best of health. You must have your health, ladies and gentlemen. You got to have your health. If you have your health, you'll have everything. Ich will auch wünschen, nur Glück, Gesund, Panusse, alles, was ihr wollt allein.
I hope you got that. You get that at the end there with your camera? Fyvush, you're a legend.
God bless you.